All right. Shalom, shalom, everyone. Again, we are going over Romans chapter 13, and we're going to go basically it's dealing with the authority, being ordained, governments, that type thing. So can I go ahead and get a reader? And we'll start with chapter 13, verse 1.
You need me to pull those scriptures up?
Yeah, you can. You could do that. Yeah, I got a couple witnesses. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean for the 13. I mean, I can pull it up if you don't, if everybody's following along.
Yeah, you want to pull it up? That'd be fine.
Okay, let me go to screen share. Yeah. Okay, let's go to 13. Okay, this looks like everybody seeing that?
Gone.
I don't know why it's not breaking down the verses the way that
you usually do.
Yeah, I'll pull up another one and see if well, let me go in on this Romans. Let's see here. Okay, and must have went in there some kind of different somehow. Go to 13. Okay, there we go. All righty. You ready for me to start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High.
All right, so we're going to start with right there. I'm going to read a little different from the American Standard Bible and see what it says. It said every person is to be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from the Most High. For those which exist are established by the Most High. All right, so, but in the verse is stated ordained. And I just want to break down that word ordained. In the Greek, it means to construct, form, fashion. In the Hebrew, it means to give, restore, grant, permit, consecrate. So we have two different meanings there. And when we're talking about the government, and we know that the Most High basically sets up things. But again, we do have that difference where something can be consecrated, and we have an example of Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. If you can bring that up, or I can just go ahead and just read it from here. Because I don't want, because a lot of times we we use that word ordain, in the sense of, hey, well, the Most High picked us, and I can have this power, and a lot of people claim to be ordained in a lot of ways, but they walk don't show that. And we have people that actually are following so-called ordained ministers, ordained whatever it may be, of leaders, and we have to be careful with that. Because at the end of the day, it comes right back to us and how we are actually walking. So, okay, Brother Terry, you got that up? And so in Jeremiah, the most is a witness to being consecrated, or actually being ordained. So go ahead.
Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou comest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations.
So that right there, he sanctified, he set him apart, he ordained him to be a prophet amongst the people. And his walk showed that. Jeremiah was very obedient in the things that he was asked to do. So let's get another witness with that on John chapter 15, verse 16.
15, 16.
Yes, sir. And this is Messiah speaking.
Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that ye should go forth and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whosoever ye shall ask, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you.
So again, Yahushua stating talking about being ordained. You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you. And then we all have, as we have went through Romans and through these readings, that we know that we don't choose, we get chosen, and in a sense, being ordained. So I just want to go ahead and just to set the stage there for being ordained. So we had, brother, if you can go to Jeremiah chapter 27, and we're going to read from 5 to 22. So setting the stage here with Jeremiah, King Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, not a Israelite, Hebrew Israelite, but he was a Babylonian. And he was set up by the Most High to do a thing. And we're going to go right into that. Slocky. Let me go ahead and go back to Romans 13, and let's go to verse 2. So I already set the stage with being ordained. And my apologies, brother. So if you can go ahead and read verse 2, and then we'll go into Jeremiah 27.
Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of the Most High, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation.
All right. So now we're going to go into Jeremiah 27, verse 5 and through 22. So again, setting the stage, King Nebuchadnezzar, he's the one that destroyed the temple, took captive of the Israelites and brought them into Babylon. But again, as we read, we're going to see this king was given this authority by the Most High, and how he was actually, in a lot of ways, a righteous king, because again, he was chosen. But we also, as we go into the story, We also know that his demise had came about because he eventually was puffed up with pride. And so we're going to go ahead and start with chapter 5, and we'll go ahead all the way to 22 as I bring out some points about it.
I have made the earth, the man and the beast that are upon the ground, by my great power and by my outstretched arm, and have given unto whom it seemed meet unto me.
All right. So that word meat, let me so that word is very important in this particular verse. So look real quick. Okay. Verse 5. All right, so meat, it means to be right, be straight, be level, upright, be just, be lawful, be smooth. So to make right, make smooth, make straight. To lead, direct, lead straight along, to esteem, right, approve, to be made. So the Most High, he approved this. He was fine with what he was bringing forth for it. What he's about to bring forth upon the children of Israel. So he wasn't shaking. I mean, he was, as we know, the Most High, his thoughts are not like ours, but that's what that word basically means, that he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew how he wanted the outcome of it, and it all goes back to him receiving the glory. So go ahead with the next verse.
And now have I given all these lands unto the hands of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and the beasts of the field have I given him also to serve him.
Okay, so here we go. We got Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, the Most High servant. He put him in not only the people, but the beasts of the field. So he put him in charge of everything. And we know, again, the Most High, we know who the apple of the Most High's eye. But he gave the king of Babylon the rule. And it goes back in a lot of ways to these, these brothers and that say that, the Gentiles don't have a place, this and third. There it is right there. He gave a king of Babylon, and he called him his servant. So just keep that in mind. But go ahead with this verse.
And all nations shall serve him, and his son, and his son's son, until the very time of his land come. And then many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of him.
All right. So now we talking about provoking to jealousy. That right there, because again, we are the chosen. And here it is, the Most High putting someone else in the place that Israel should be for, again, our disobedience. So go ahead with next verse, brother.
And it shall come to pass that the nation and kingdom which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish, saith the Most High, with the sword and with the famine and with the pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand.
All right. So did it say all nations except Israel? Was that what is this wrong? Should it exclude Israel? Most High forbid, no. Because again, that's all nations was subjected to the king. And again, this goes through back to what Paul was saying, being subjective to the authority.
Con.
but we're gonna continue on. But again, it's within this yoke, this iron, this upon Israel. It never did say don't go out and you can go ahead and break my laws or this, that, and the third. He never did. You are under submission, but you still need to be who I ordained you to be. And it goes for all of us. Whatever captivity we under, at the end of the day, we still are subject, like the scripture said, to the Most High. But go ahead with the next verse.
Therefore, hearken not ye to your prophets, nor to your diviners, nor to your dreamers, nor to your enchanters, nor to your sorcerers, which speak unto you, saying, ye shall not serve the king of Babylon.
All right, so there it is. Don't listen to the Most High. Don't listen to those that you're used to listening to. Because if you do, you going against basically what I'm overall telling you what to do. So if you want to bypass the Most High, then he already stated what he's going to do. You will be punished for it. So that's the position that, again, we in today. But again, we have to be careful of, we have to be able to discern those that are above us, per se, because that can also lead us to going against the Most High. So it's almost like a catch-22, but it's not. But go ahead with the next verse, bro.
For they prophesy a lie unto you, to remove you far from your land, and that I should drive you out, and ye should perish.
John, all right. So for the prophecies a lie unto you to remove you from your land. So why would it be a lie? I mean, so the prophet's coming to you, and they're telling you, hey, it's just like now, we have we have brothers out there saying, hey, we need to escape out of Babylon. We need to leave United States. We need to go over to this country or that country. But have we got instructed? Have anyone, because again, we're a body, and a lot of times we haven't actually talked about the things that we are good at, in a sense, but we may have someone on the line that's prophecy or prophecy. So have anyone ever heard from the Most High to say, hey, we need to get up out of United States? If we haven't got that word, then we need possibly need to stay put. Because again, wherever we go, I mean, that at the end of the day, this is a one world government, and so wherever you go, you probably going to run into the same problems. But here it is, the scriptures telling whatever your prophets tell you to do, if it ain't from God, then you shouldn't do it. But go ahead with the next verse.
I spake also to Zedekiah, king of Judah, according to all these words, saying, bring your necks under the yoke of the king of Babylon, and serve him and his people, and live.
So there it is. So you know how hard it is for a king to be subjected to another king and his people. Hey, people, y'all follow me into this captivity. I mean, it has to be, you're going to have a lot to rebel. But again, these instructions that the Most High give. And this, again, this is the government that he forms. This is what is ordained or appointed at the time, because again, it all goes back to the disobedience. So go ahead with the next verse.
Why will ye die, thou in thy people by the sword, by the famine, by the pestilence, as the Most High have spoken against the nation that will not serve the king of Babylon.
Go ahead.
Therefore, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that speak unto you, saying, Ye shall not serve the king of Babylon, for they prophesy a lie unto you.
Again, he reiterated, again, the prophets were looked upon very highly, but he stated to him, don't listen. Listen to my word. That's the thing we have to do. We got to make sure that we listen to the Most High when it comes to these things. Because again, we still under captivity. We never have gotten from under it. But I'm gonna stop right here. Do anyone want to add anything or? All right, so let's go ahead and continue.
For I have not sent them, saith the Most High, yet they prophesy a lie in my name, that I might drive you out, and that ye might perish, ye and the prophets that prophesy unto you.
So again, for I have not sent them, said the Lord, yet they prophesy as a lie, that I might drive you out. So it's in a sense, it's a setup. I mean, it's a lot of, like Brother Rakar, he had the doctrine of we need to get out of the states. A lot of people fled and they ran into a lot of hardship when they did do that. They didn't have money, they didn't have jobs, they didn't have no means in order to live. And the reports that I have heard that, a lot of them came back and, reported this. While Rakar, he living in I think it's in Jersey, I think it is, but I'm not exactly sure whereas I know it's upstate. He's living in a nice mansion. He haven't went anywhere. So we have to listen to the Most High. And again, there's nothing new. Like I always say, there's nothing new under the sun. These things have been happening throughout the course of history. And thank the Most High that he has given us this body. He has given us this opportunity to come before him and learn his word to better equip us for what's ahead. But go ahead with the next verse.
Also, I spake unto the priests and to all this people, saying, Thus saith the Most High, hearken not to the words of your prophets that prophesy unto you, saying, Behold, the vessel of the Most High's house shall now shortly be brought again from Babylon, for they prophesy a lie unto you.
Keep going.
Hearken not unto them. Serve the king of Babylon and live. Wherefore should this city be laid waste?
Go ahead, brother.
But if they be prophets, and if the word of the Most High be with them, let them now make intercession to the Most High of hosts, that the vessel which are left in the house of the Most High and in the house of the king of Judah and at Jerusalem go not to Babylon.
Con. So it said, but if they be prophets, and if the word of the Lord be with them, let them make intercessions to the Lord of hosts. So, if the word be with them, they're gonna try to make the understanding I have for here is they're gonna try to appease or reason with those that are being in captivity. Have them to understand what's actually going on. Explain to them if they can, by the way, the Spirit, by the Most High, to understand that, hey, this is what the Most High has ordained. This is what he has set up. And we have to be submissive. We have to be in obedience instead of disobedience. And in the house of the king of Judah. So again, this is and was a big deal, as we know, being brought into not necessarily slavery. It didn't say, he told him to serve that king and whatever rules that it came about, because that's what was actually told to him. So you're not going to serve me, I'm going to have you to serve man, and see how that work out for you. And again, we are in that position. We've been in that position. We have been there, being disobedient. And again, that's the reason why we all collectively are still in this captivity. Anyone want to add anything? Sister Lynn, back there, you want to add anything?
No.
Okay. All right. So let's go with verse 19.
For thus saith the Most High of hosts concerning the pillars, and concerning the sea, and concerning the bases, and concerning the residue of the vessels that remain in this city, which Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon took not when he carried away captive Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, from Jerusalem to Babylon, and all the nobles of Judah and Jerusalem. Yea, thus saith the Most High of hosts, the power of Israel concerning the vessels that remain in the house of the Most High and in the house of the king of Judah and of Jerusalem. They shall be carried to Babylon, and there shall they be until the day that I visit them, saith the Most High. Then I will bring them up and restore them to this place.
So again, it's all in the Most High's plan. King Nebuchadnezzar was a servant of the Most High. He believed in the God of Israel, and but like any king or any kingdom, they get puffed up with pride, and that was eventually what was the downfall. Now we know Daniel. We go to chapter Daniel chapter 4 verse 34 and through 37, and it's basically, again, it's the dream. We all know the king had a dream and no one can interpret it but Daniel, and he went ahead and interpreted it for the king. And at that time,
Con, you ready? Did we lose you, priest? You there, priest? Kwam?
He's on mute.
He's on mute. You on mute, priest Kwam.
Now we lost him.
Okay, let me give him a
He's
minute.
back.
Okay.
my apologies, I got kicked off. And also I got corrected. So Sister Lily, I want to say something about the intercession.
Yeah, shalom. In the verse where it says, if they be prophets, they would go into intercession. So in other words, he's saying that don't listen to these prophets that come like in the days of, today, they tell you, go this way, go that way. The book of Mark, the book of Luke tell us, don't follow them. There's a lot of prophets that are going to tell you, go this way or go that way. And don't listen to these prophets at that time when he was saying, I need you to go into Babylon and serve the king. Do not listen to these prophets. But he says, if they be prophets, they will go into intercession for you. In other words, these prophets are going to intercede in prayer, fasting with the Most High. And that's what he's talking about, if they be prophets. Not just prophets that are coming to tell you, go and flee, go do this, go do that. The Most High has ordained or placed this king over you. So you are to submit and serve the king. And if they be prophets, then they would come and intercede on your behalf. But they're not going to come and tell you to get up and go and do these things, because that's not what I have ordered here. So that's that verse says there.
Con,
Con.
thank you. Yeah, we're gonna go to Daniel chapter 4, verse 34 through 37.
Okay, 34.
Con. Yeah, chapter 4, verse 34 through 37.
Con. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and my understanding returned unto me. And I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation.
So King, no, King never say his name right, but he just stated that the Most High kingdom is from generation to generation, that he praised the Most High. And before this, again, he had came to the point where he was somewhat like a pharaoh. You know, he was ruling. He had lost his mind, and that was the dream that was actually interpreted. But again, it always come back to the Most High and his kingdom, his government. Again, going back to what Paul said in the scripture, that is the ultimate. That is the government that no government can even stand against or be compared to. But go ahead with the rest of it.
And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. And he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can say in his hand or say unto him, what doest thou?
No question, the Most High. Go ahead.
At the same time, my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom and my honor and the brightness return unto me, and my counselors and my lords sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all who works are truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase.
So here it is. King getting himself back after he came back to himself. He came back to the Most High, worshiped the Most High, gave honor and praise to the Most High. And so, even though Israel was under king, that king at the time, he was fair with them. But again, what Paul in the word that I understand is that we can be up under these kingdoms, but again, we still have to honor the Most High. There's rules that first and foremost that we have to abide by the Most High. But then again, we have our rules here, and we have to render unto Caesar what is Caesar. But I say this as well, on the flip side of things, as I have again been going through the situation that I've been going through with my daughter, I have learned a lot, and I'm not telling no one to go out here and stop doing this or stop doing that. But you render under Caesar if you're under Caesar. And we already know you render under the Most High what is the Most High's. But if you don't want to deal with Caesar, there's ways that you don't have to, because there's also laws that set up that you don't have to. Like, for instance, we all have driver license in our pockets to go to and fro, because you have, you know, you can drive, you are permitted to drive. That's a privilege. But you also have the right to travel, which is constitutional, which they, our so-called founding fathers, based all of the Constitution from the Most High. So that's a form of government. But if you were to go that route, you can go that route because that's what the Constitution is set up for. You have the right to travel anywhere that you want. You have the Most High, you are of sovereignty. So you have that right, a God-given right to go wherever you want to. But if you go get that license, you are actually asking, man, can I have this privilege to drive your highways? So like anything, a right can't be taken away, but a privilege can. So you render unto Caesar what is Caesar, in ignorance or not. But it's a those. So I just wanted to just add that little part right there. But that's for another day. One day. You want to add? Okay. Go ahead.
So like when you know, it tells us is the Israelites to subject ourselves to the laws of the land. Now this is wisdom. Obviously, when you subject yourselves to the laws of the land, you're using and exercising wisdom so that you don't end up, these magistrates don't end up putting you in jail, prosecuting you. You live, Most High tells us to live peaceably among all men, with all men. So, you know, we render unto Caesar what is Caesar. We pay our taxes, we pay our dues, we do what is Caesar's. Now, the laws of the Most High, though, they trump Caesar's laws because we render up to the Most High what is his, and we give him all the glory. Allegiance to the flag and salutes and all those things, placing yourself under oaths in courtrooms and things like that, I don't do. And, you know, those are things that, you know, when I went into court, the last time I was in court, they asked me to raise my hand and swear under oath. That is not my custom. I told them just like that, I'm an Israelite, that is not my custom, so I don't swear under oath. I can tell you yay, yay, or nay, nay, meaning I can tell you yes or no, but that's all I'm gonna do. So we have to abide by the laws of the land, and we have to walk circumspect and straight. But there are some things that belong to the Most High. And one thing that I want to point out, because there's a big controversy as to marriage. Now, in this country, you have to go and get a marriage license, and you have to pay for it. And in that marriage license, there are rules and stipulations that the law has placed upon it. So when you get married under the law of the land in this Romanized society, you subject your person, your wife, and your children unto various laws that they can impose, fines, laws, penalties, and many other things when you are either married or when if you want to get divorced. And the other thing is that when you go up in front of a judge to get married under the law of the land in here, this American Romanized society, you don't know who's marrying you. This man could be a gay man. I used to work for the court system many years, and the judge that I used to work for, Judge Puckland, was an alcoholic that got caught for the DUI. He was a clown, you know, used to joke around and have a kind of vulgar, kind of joking mannerism about him. And then I used to work for another judge, Judge Brock, and she was a sweet woman who used to have to judge in the child abuse and neglect courtroom. So I knew a lot of judges, and we think of these magistrates as these upright human beings that, you know, have no sin or whatever, but that is not the case. So when you go in front of a judge to get married, this judge could be gay. Or this same judge is marrying gay people, and then you're gonna go and get married under this man. So a lot of people have this controversy where you have to get married in the laws of the land. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, but what belongs to the Most High. Marriage is a commandment and a oath given to the Most High. We don't have to render that unto Caesar. We don't have to place that under the hand of Caesar. So these are the type of things that you have to really look at when we do follow the laws of the land, and we walk according to the way we're supposed to walk in this society, keeping the laws, like Paul said. Yes, of course. But there are some things that we have to keep for ourselves because they belong to the Most High. And only the honor and glory is given to the Most High. When you get married underneath and making an oath to the Most High, no one can come and divorce you. There's no man alive that can say, okay, by the power vested in me, I can divorce you. There's not a man alive that can divorce two people that got married under an oath with the Most High. This is why we need to be careful when we understand these type of verses in Romans, because there are things that are placed in by the Most High, and then he's telling you about what you have to give to Caesar. And we have to have the discernment of what belongs to Caesar and what belongs to the Most High. And, you know, all praises be, all the glory and honor to him is always forever and ever, no matter where the subjection is given to, it all goes to the Father at the end of the day. But we have to, as people of the Most High, be able to discern what we do and can do. Sometimes these lawmakers make us do things that are against the Most High. They're making pastors marry gay people. Absolutely not. You can't marry gay people. You can't marry two men. But, you know, these are the things that the Most High will not have us do. So that's just something that I wanted to add to that.
And good points. Good points. And with the marriage thing, not like some priests out there saying that, you know, you don't come through me and you don't do it my way, that you're not married or nothing like that. That's not what's is being said. So, you know, marriage is a union, and we know it's not that simple. I mean, it's not that hard. It's many ways, but at the end of the day, being subject under Caesar, just going to the state, you do render yourself under that authority, and that don't necessarily have to be. So
yeah, and one other thing is that when you do get married in your own Israelite way to the Most High, because the oath is to the Most High, there are certain things that you don't benefits that you don't get when you're married under the state. You can draw up your own contracts. There's nobody says that you can't draw up your own contracts, your own wills, your own contracts among each other, financially, taking care of your spouse financially through contracts that render, you know, the power still under the Most High. Because if you go and get divorced by the state, you know, they do whatever they want and they take their cut. And that's why, as a matter of fact, when you used to be able to get a marriage license back then, the facts are that they made marriage license to document who Black men were marrying, because they didn't want the Gentiles or white women or women of other colors to marry Black men. So this is why they created a marriage license. It was something that was authorized and given by the state to certain people, and they decided who and who could get married to who. So this is where the marriage license comes from. So again, you have to have the discernment and to know what belongs to Caesar, what belongs to the Most High. Your marriage, it belongs to the Most High. Your children, they don't belong to the state, they belong to the Most High. So you have to know that, and you have to exercise that power and render it up to the Most High. Give your children up to the Most High, and give your marriage up to the Most High.
God. Anybody want to add anything or anything you want to? Go ahead. Oh, okay. I thought it was saying something. All right, so we can go ahead to go back to Romans chapter 13, verse 3.
For the rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. All
right. So he was basically saying that those that are over you, that you don't have to be afraid. But the one that if you're doing good, and like again, render to Caesar. So if we do choose to have these licenses, we choose to go by these laws. If we stop at a stop sign You know, instead of just driving by and or whatever rule that may be out there to break, if we're breaking those rules, then we're gonna get punished for it. If we're doing what we're supposed to do, following those rules, then we should have no worries. And again, that is, you know, and again, it goes back to the Most High. Even again, in rendering to Caesar, if we have rules and we are gonna go ahead and say we accept this, we still need to be obedient. And not to be obedient more or less to them, but to the Most High, because all things start with him. So yeah, so go ahead with the next verse.
For he is a minister of the Most High to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is a minister of the Most High, a
So,
revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil.
gone. So again, we have our laws. You know, you shall not kill. You should not steal. And unfortunately, in society, we have a lot of situations as such. You know, people are getting killed, and you're gonna get punished for it. In certain states, they go by the old law, an eye for an eye. So if you kill someone, then possibly you're going to be killed. You're going to be put up with death row. There's a lot of people on death row at this moment who've been in death row for years, decades. And that's because, you know, it ain't just because, but what they done. They committed murder. Or for the most part, whatever rule that you break, and a lot of them comes from the commandments. So if you steal from someone, you're going to get punished for it. If you a covenant, and it's going to read later on, we're going to go over those, you know, you're going to get punished for it. So these rules that are set up, and I'm not saying that all are bad, but what I'm saying is whatever you decide to go under Caesar, then you will be punished as well for any rule breaking. And unfortunately, as we know, they're not always fair. And a lot of brothers and sisters are in jail for crimes that they shouldn't be in jail for. But again, that's a part of that system. And again, if you render under that, you're subject to it. Whatever they bring or put upon it. Same thing that happened to me. So go ahead with the next verse.
Wherefore ye must need be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake.
All right. So again, the conscience sake. Again, knowing what's right and what's wrong. What should I do? You know, should I, you know, do this or do that? If I do this, what's the consequences? I'm going against with the Most High. I'm going against his laws. I'm going against, you know, I'm being disobedient. You know, and again, and depending on what the situation is, there's old Caesar, he know too. And so he's gonna punish you to the extent of his law. He's gonna punish you. So we keep that in mind. But go ahead, brother.
For this cause pay ye tribute also, for they are the Most High's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing.
God, keep going.
Render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor.
God. So again, this is basically what we've just been stating throughout. You know, you have to, the Most High, we already know what it starts with the Most High. To believe in him, you have to fear. It starts with that fear. You have to have that fear for the Most High. And you have to have respect for those. I mean, automatically, when we see a cop, I know for me, so a certain, my stomach get all tore up and I'm like, oh, here we go. It just, you know, this mother's gonna, he's gonna stop me or whatever the case may be. So unfortunately, they have the wrong type of fear. And that's what we're gonna go into the Apocrypha for the next what we're about to bring up. So on the flip side of things, we do have this system. What we shouldn't have to fear the people that's above us, but this is what they have instilled in us. Even the scripture says in Deuteronomy, when the curses came about, we don't even know if we're gonna make it home due to the fact that the authorities out there that may out to hurt us. A lot of with this government, it comes a lot of pride. It comes a lot of looking down on it, and we can speak for ourselves, but we have experienced this one way or another for Hebrew Israelites, for people of so-called color. We know the struggles. It's been put in our face. We know what the scriptures, we know both ends of it. We know the scriptures, the reason why we're in this predicament, and again, it being presented to us or shown to us almost every day. And so that's the thing about this government. That's why I do not co-sign with wholeheartedly following the government and how they come about things, because again, like Sister Lilia, my wife, just stated that you can come under authority and they can have you doing things that against the Most High. So again, that's the discernment. So we're gonna get into that, but I want to go to before that. Got First Esdras, chapter 2, verse 1 through 3, and kind of piggybacking off King Nebuchadnezzar again, which the Most High did set. So I'm not going to say necessarily ordained or consecrated, but he set it up where this king ruled, and he was a righteous king at the time. He had his ups and his downs, but overall, he was a Gentile that was obedient to the Most High. And also, what we're about to read also with this First Esdras chapter 2, verse 1 through 3, King, I think it's Cyrus, and what the Most High had given him. And again, to rule over us.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
In the first year of Cyrus, king of the Persians, that the word of the Most High might be accomplished, that he had promised by the mouth of Jeremy. The Most High raised up the spirit of Cyrus, king of the Persians, and he made a proclamation through all the kingdom, and also by writing, saying, thus saith Cyrus, the king of Persians, the Most High of Israel, the Most High Lord, have made me king of the whole world.
So there it is. Again, another king of the whole world, not an Israelite. And they had to be subject unto him. So now, anybody want to add? You want to add anything to that, Brother Terry?
Well, it's just interesting that, the Most High, he would even use Satan as a whip to bring in his children into obedience. That's why some was turning over. How much more even our enemies, he used that to serve, to bring us in shape into obedience. He's used our enemies against us, because he said, if we're not punished, you love not your children if you don't punish it, if you don't whoop them. So our enemies was used as a whip to bring us into order, and we can see that the Most High even can use an enemy, that all things work together for the good of those. When you're getting that beating from mama, it doesn't seem like it is working for you, but it's whooping that devil out of you, getting a lot of mischief out of you, and you appreciate that later, in life.
God.
So, that was it.
God can't spare the rod. And that's another commandment that we can't do. And like I say, we know firsthand, That whooping is not, yeah. So we've been whipped from the beginning, we still ain't learned. But you know, the thing about it, with the government, and this also with our household as well. And Ecclesiastes chapter, I'm just gonna read this, chapter 26, verse 23. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord. So again, going with that fear of the Lord can get you a lot of things that's beneficial. But again, if you're disobedient, you're going to get exactly whoopings, wickedness, whatever it is come to you. And a lot of people don't understand why, you know, unfortunately, strong delusion in a lot of ways. But why is this happening to me? What's going on? Why is it? Because you're being disobedient. You're being disobedient, and you have to submit. You have to submit. And so I want to go to chapter 2 Maccabees, and we're going to kind of like break this Maccabees down. We're going to go to start with chapter 6. And so the Maccabees it was a group of brothers that was fighting against oppression, and fighting against the Roman society, the Roman society. And then somewhat of their story, but the story that we're actually about to get into is, again, going back to what I was stating about government, how we need to discern what these Israelites at the time had went through. This certain king came into power, and basically just wanted to get rid of Israel, wipe Israel out. And so we're going to pick up at chapter 6, and we're going to go through 1 through 9.
Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the law of their fathers and not to live after the laws of the Most High, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympus, and that in Jerusalem of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place.
All right, so again, the king sent out an old man of Athens to compel the Jews, to try to have them to depart from their ways, their laws of their fathers, and not live in the ways of the Most High. So again, this is the type. So we have senators, we have mayors, we have, you know, all these officials set up to bring forth ideas. Some come from the community, but most come from them. And they bring up these ideas to try to change what is good in a lot of ways. Because as of right now, we already know the world, the Most High has empathy against the world. And even though, again, he set up government, but he didn't, you know, and how government has decided to run themselves is definitely against what the Most High is about. So, perfect example. As we go on, you're going to see how similar things were back then to how it is now. So go ahead with the next. Excuse me, I'm sorry, one more thing. And so this is another thing. And called the temple Jupiter Olympus. They want to change the name of the temple. They want to change the name of the temple. So we in a Greek society. If you ever visit Washington, D.C. with Brother Terry up there, he see this Romanized society is right there in front of you. If you go in DC to go to DC, you can't get away from it. You can't get away from it. But go ahead with the next verse.
The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people.
So the people, they didn't like it. It was, you know, it's a customs. It's the way of the Most High. It's this, and they knew that this wasn't right. But again, the king trying to impose all this on them. So that's why I stated to you, we can't abide by every law. We can't abide by what they always say because we in their land. Nah, it don't work that way. Go ahead.
For the temple was filled with riots and reveling by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places. And besides that, brought in things that were not lawful.
John, so here it is, these Gentiles rioting, they bringing harlots, whores, they, you know, they in other words, they doing the most in this situation. They are just trying to just do away with Israel and anything that has to do with Israel in their holy place. It's just like going to a church and having, you know, having a party, you know, that's just cutting up, you know, on Saturday night. And so it's just confusion. It's just something that these brothers and sisters had to go through because of these Gentiles. But go ahead.
The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbidded. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to confess himself at all to be a Jew.
All right, so this is what they tried to bring down. They didn't want them to keep the Sabbath. They didn't want them to keep their feast. They didn't want us to keep our feast. They didn't want to have us, you know, worship national night. They didn't even want us to state that we was even Jews. And unfortunately, it's gonna come a time that that's gonna come back around. And that's one of the reasons why I don't want to bring this out. But go ahead.
And in the day of the king's birth, every month they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy.
So now here's in the day of the king's birth every month, were brought to bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifice. So they had to eat what this king was bringing forth, celebrating this king. And you know, they all about that ivory, put that ivory around their head. Just like that's why the Olympics is so much of a big deal. If you haven't read the Apocrypha, I strongly suggest you look into it. Because again, that's the reason, one of the reasons why they took the book out of the scriptures. It was in the Bible. It was in the Bible, and they took it out. And it's kind of like a modern day. It's really close to what was actually going on, and how the Gentiles had taken over. And unfortunately, we by force, in a lot of ways, start following the heathen. And we still have this situation going on with these fraternities. My son, a couple of weeks ago, he was asked to join a Greek, for a fraternity, and I had just broke it down to him, explained to him what it was about, and he didn't join. All praises, he didn't join. He listened. By the way, the Most High. So these effects that was brought upon by these Gentiles, is still going on again to this day with fraternities. With again going to DC, see all the artwork in the buildings, and again we still in this captivity. We're still under this Roman captivity. Go ahead, brother.
Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices.
Go ahead.
And whoso would not conform themselves to the matter of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery.
Yeah, so they put them to death. They set laws, they set decrees, they wanted them to be under their subjection, and that's the kind of government that was actually being ran at that time. The Most High, in a sense, set it up because he allowed it. But again, we have to discern are we gonna do it, or we're gonna have to suffer whatever consequences of punishment in that way, which one are we willing to do? So, but we ain't gonna stop there. We're gonna go to verse 18 through 26 and get some, unfortunately, some more understanding why these evil people work. So it's still same verse, chapter. We're gonna go down to 18 through 26.
Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man and of a well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh.
So they're forcing him to eat swine flesh. Go ahead.
But he chose rather to die gloriously than to live strained with such an abomination, spit it forth, and came of his own accord the torment.
So this brother had the pig flesh put in his mouth, and he went ahead and spit it out. And now I'm not gonna do this. He basically, I'd rather die. This is abomination. So if you're eating pig and pork, might want to cut that out. But either way, but I digress. Well, go ahead.
As it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things, as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted.
Go ahead.
But they that had the charge of that wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with the man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat of the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king.
So what they wanted him to do is act as if he was eating the flesh. He could have went ahead and took a piece of beef or whatever was lawful and go ahead and eat that. But they wanted to try to fool the masses that, that this Eleazar, a scribe, a man of the law, he went ahead and gave, he basically was obedient to the king. So let's fool them that way. You don't necessarily have to, they try to bribe him. Let's just go ahead and just do it this way. So to save us some time, and let's get along, agree to disagree in a sense, but let's just get along. Let's go ahead and do it this way, and you can go about your business. Let's see what the brother did.
That in so doing, he might be delivered from death. And so the old friendship with them find favor. But he began to consider discreetly, and as became his age and the excellency of his ancient years and the honor of his gray head, thereon was come in his most honest education from a child, or rather the holy law made and given by the Most High. Therefore he answered accordingly, and willed them straight ways to send him to the grave.
So here it is. He's thinking of it. He's thinking from the youth up, from his youth all the way to his the age that he was, being an older man. He been there and done that and seen it all. He had excellence of his ancient years. He done served the Most High the right way and most honest, educated from a child of the law, of the holy law, and made and given by the Most High. It was given to him by the Most High. So the king, again, if you don't want to die, just go ahead and just fake this, and you're gonna be okay. But he, as we know, he said straightway send him to the grave. So again, we as citizens in this society, we have a choice of things that go against the Most High, that again, that may, whatever laws that they have out there and they want us to submit to, and we know that it's going to go against the Most High, that's when that law of the land is thrown out. That's not even, we can't even compare. We got to stay on the straight and the narrow. But go ahead with the next verse, brother.
For it becometh not our age, saith he, in any wise to disassemble, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being 80 years old and 10, were now gone to a strange religion.
Gone. So you go ahead. It's
You want me to continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
And so they, through my hypocrisy and desire to live a little time and a moment longer, should be deceived by me, and I get a strain to my old age and make it abominable.
Gone.
Get a
Go ahead.
stain to my old age. Sorry.
No, you good.
Continue.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
For though for the present time I should be delivered for the punishment of men, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead.
All right. So he's basically, he had a little time in a moment. We're talking about this little time in a moment, but he also talking about comparing that to he cannot escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive or dead. So the punishment that he was willing to take it because he knew the long-term effects of what was actually going to happen and who was in control. And so that right there is powerful. And again, he's an older man. He done lived his days, but who knows? He could have lived a lot more. But hey, he took the Most High side. He had that discernment not to follow this king. But anybody want to add?
We are just going to add, he said 80 and 10. So he was 80 is 80, and then 10, he was 90 years old. He said, so should I deceive the young so I can live a little bit longer? So like Priest Quam said, because he was thinking he's about at the end of his life, and he's lived a long and glorious life. So now do I deceive, at this point and mislead those that are younger? And this is the same thing that happened with Nebuchadnezzar when you have Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. They were given a choice to die because Nebuchadnezzar, that's what his lesson was about. He had made a statue to worship. Everybody was supposed to worship him for a day, and they refused. Those of the Most High refused to worship him. And see, he was putting himself over the Most High. And so they had to refuse that because and not acquiesce and then deny the Most High. And so that's what so they were willing to face the fire, and the Most High delivered them. They say whether he delivers or not, he's able, and he did. And they saw a fourth in the fire with them, and they were delivered.
Thank you, brother, bringing that one out. Yeah, I skipped over that one. So definitely. All praises. All right. So we go to let's see. We're gonna stay in the Maccabees. We're almost there. I think we're gonna go to chapter 7. Yeah, we're gonna go to chapter 7 and read 1 through 4. Chapter 7, and we're gonna read 1 through 4. So at the end of the day, that brother, being 90 some odd years old, he, instead of deceive the youth, instead of being, he could have been a so-called sellout. And unfortunately, we know that we have these organizations that set up to fool us into thinking that, hey, this is the way, even though, like in a sense, Black Lives Matter, my opinion, that's one of the organizations, even the I can't even say it, but in the WACP, they have a lot of flaws in their organization as well. But it always leading back to certain rights that are against the Most High. Again, Black Lives Matter, they all for the transgender, they all for homosexuality, they all for people that live how they, want to live. And again, that's not the way that we want as brothers and sisters walking in this walk to be a part of. But again, they are connected to the government. They're funded by a lot of ways to the government. So again, they are those ones that represent the government. So again, it's all about discernment. All right, brother, you ready? I'm ready.
It came to pass also that 7 brethren with their mother were taken and compelled by the king against the law to taste swine's flesh, and were tormented with scourges and whips.
Go ahead.
But one of them that spake first said thus, what doest thou ask or learn of us? We are ready to die rather than to transgress the laws of our father. Then the king, being enraged, commanded pans and caldrons to be made hot, which forthwith being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of them that spake first, and to cut off the utmost parts of his body. The rest of his brethren and his mother looked on.
So it is, they cutting limbs off now. They get in a big pot, ready to put them in and burn them alive and scald them to death. This is how wicked these people were or are. And this is how they wanted to use their power against another for submission. And again, this is a part of this king, part of a government. So go ahead with, we're gonna go drop down to 5, verse 5 through 13.
Come on. Now, when he was thus maimed in all his members, he commanded him, being yet alive, to be brought to the fire and to be fried in the pan. And as the vapors of the pan was for a good space dispersed, they exhorted one another with the mother to die manfully, saying thus, the Most High, our power, look upon us, and in truth have comfort in us, as Moses in his song, which witnessed to their faces, declaring, saying, and he shall be comforted in his servants. So when the first was dead, after this number, they brought the second and made him a mocking stock. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, they asked him, wilt thou eat before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body? But he answered in his own language and said, No. Wherefore he also received the next torment in order, as the former did.
Keep going, brother.
And when he was at the last grasp, he said, Thou like a fury takest us out of this present life, but the King of the world shall rise us up, who have died for his laws unto everlasting life.
So who is this king? But the king of the world shall rise us up, who have died for his laws until everlasting life. Brother kind of prophesizing. Will you agree?
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. So again, this brother's facing it. He knows. You know, again, even though we talking about Moses, we talking about the law, but we also talking about these brothers, several brothers and one mother. They as we read on, talking about the king, they talk about the Messiah. They know the coming. Go
Right.
ahead. You want to add anything, brother? Go ahead. Anyone want to add?
No, that's good. Exactly. See, because we knew that the Messiah was coming. We knew the prophecies, and that's why when we get over there in the Gospels, when our people were rejecting it, it didn't make any sense. They didn't expect what they got. They weren't expecting the Messiah on a donkey to be humble. They were expecting the lion at that point. The lion is coming, but they didn't expect the lamb, how he came.
God, there you go. That's right. All praise.
Okay, 10. After him was the third, made a mocking stock. And when he was required, he put out his tongue, and that right soon, holding forth his hands manfully, and said courageously, These I had from heaven, and for his law I despised them, and from him I hope to receive them again. Insomuch that the king and they that were with him marveled at the young man's courage, for that he nothing regarded the pains.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Now, when this man was dead, also they tormented and mangled the fourth in like manner.
So here it is. They're going through these brothers, and each one of them has, in a sense, a story before they leave. You know, before they die. They die honorably, and even the king marveled at them. The courage that these brothers was displaying. Because again, going back to verse 9, the king of the world shall rise up again. He shall rise up. We have died for his laws until everlasting life. Because these brothers, that's what they knew, like Brother Terry was stating, what was ahead of them, everlasting life. I just take the small whooping, but I want that everlasting life. That's what I want, and that's what it's about. All right, so we're gonna go to down to 15 to 19. We're almost done. Got a couple more verses.
Now, when this man was dead also, they tormented and mangled the fourth in like manner. So when he was ready to die, he said thus, It is good being put to death by men, to look for hope from the Most High to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection to life. Afterwards, they brought the fifth also and mingled him. Then looked he up to the king and said, Thou hast power over men. Thou art corruptible. Thou doest what thou wilt. Yet think not that our nation is forsaken of the Most High.
And when Paul said, if we, Most High forbid, if he even forgot about Israel. You know, and at that time he didn't forget about Israel during that time as well. So go ahead. Or if you want to add, feel free to jump in, bro. Whatever you want to add.
That's good. But abideth a while, and behold his great power, how he will torment thee and thy seed.
Coming back. The world government is coming back. They're gonna get it. They're gonna get it. Well, go ahead.
After him also they brought the sixth, who being ready to die said, be not deceived without cause, for we suffer these things for ourselves, having sinned against our power. Therefore, marvelous things are done unto us. But think not thou that taketh in hand to strive against the Most High, that thou shalt escape unpunished.
So here, this brother right here, he just basically stated, be not deceived with our cause, for we suffer these things for ourselves, having sinned against our power. So this brother he knew that where the punishment was coming from, and the reason why the punishment was inflicted on them at that particular time, because of the sin. And that speaks volumes. So that, again, these brothers that went through this knew exactly. They didn't ask why me, they didn't ask what the world going on. What they knew from the standpoint of everlasting life. They knew the reason why they were in the position they was in, because again, it's about the disobedience. Because we are, none of us, again, are without sin, and we're gonna unfortunately reap what we sow. And so that's just the part of how it goes. All right, so last verse with this one.
But the mother was marvelous above all, and worthy of honorable memory. For when she saw her 7 sons slain within the space of one day, she bared it with a good carriage, because of the hope that she had in the Most High.
Yeah, the hope that she had in the Most High. She again, this is a powerful story. This powerful. So that was verse
20.
Verse 20. All right. So let's go on down to 23. Keep reading it down to 23.
Yea, she exhorted every one of them in her own language, filled with courageous spirit, and stirring up her womanish thoughts with a manly stomach. She said unto them, I cannot tell how ye came into my womb, for I neither gave you breath nor life, neither was it I that formed the members of every one of you, but doubtless the creator of the world, who formed the generation of man and found out the beginning of all things, who also of his own mercy gave you breath and life again, as ye now regard not your own selves for his law's sake.
So here it is, a mother watching her children die in front of her, having that motherly instinct and also the manly to withstand what she's seeing. But the main thing she was doing, in the sense, she put herself aside, her feelings aside, and she thought about what the Most High. She thought about the Most High. She thought about all this was actually going on, but all praises still go to the Most High, even though her son was actually being killed. But she knowing that her sons died for and was willing to die to stay in good standards with the Most High, by the way, the Messiah. That's powerful. So again, it may become a day that the saints will go, through this and be encouraged. Because again, we have what they don't have. We have the Most High on our side. We have the Messiah on our side. And that's all we need. That's all we need. So we're gonna be finishing up. I got 24 through 23, 33, and then 34 to 32, and then we'll read the rest of Romans, and we'll be good to go. All right, so let's go down to 24 to 33.
Now Antiochus, thinking himself despised and suspecting it to be a reproachful speech, which the youngest was yet alive, did not only exalt him by words, but also assured him with oaths that he would make him both a rich and a happy man if he would turn from the laws of his father, and that also he would take him for his friend and trust him with affairs.
So here it is. So here it is. This king trying to coerce the youngest with oaths. As we already know, you don't oath with anyone, and trying to bribe him. Now he done killed his brothers, and he want to try to bribe him. He want to try to set him up on high. I mean, but that's what the devil does. He always going to present something to you that he know that he's not going to be able to keep. That's how the adversary works. He was looking to deceive the younger. But go ahead.
But when the young man would in no case hearken unto him, the king called his mother and exhorted her that she would counsel the young man to save his life. And when he had exhorted her with many words, she promised him that she would counsel her son. But she, bowing herself towards him, laughing the cruel tyrant to scorn, spake in her country language on this manner: O my son, have pity upon me that bare thee 9 months in my womb, and give thee such 3 years, and nourish thee, and brought thee up unto this age, and encourage the troubles of education. I beseech thee, my son, look upon the heavens and the earth and all that is therein, and consider that the Most High made them of things that were not, and so was mankind made likewise. Fear not the torment, fear not this tormentor, but being worthy of thy brethren, take thy death, that I may receive thee again in mercy with thy brother. While she was yet speaking these words, the young man said, whom wait ye for? I will not obey this king's commandment, but I will obey the commandments of the law that was given unto our fathers by Moses. And thou, that has been the author of all mischief against Hebrews, shall not escape the hands of the Most High. For we suffer because of our sins. And though the living Lord be angry with us a little while for our chastening and correction, yet shall he be at one again with his servants. But thou,
That's good, brother.
okay.
That's good. Right there. Well, you know what? Yeah, because we're gonna go 34 here in a second. So here it is again. This brother breaking it down. His mother telling him, go ahead and continue in the mind state that you're in. Continue to follow the Most High in this, even though this tormentor, he's trying to bribe you with this, that, and the third. You stay on the course. You stay on straight and narrow, because again of our sin. He's basically bringing it. He's bringing it. He understands again what why is the reason that he's there. What he's going through. He completely had he had the total understanding of why he's there, and he's willing to go through with it. So let's go ahead and go with, I'm sorry to cut y'all, but go ahead, 34 and 42, and then that'll end this particular part of the lesson. So,
But thou, O godless man, and of all other most wicked, be not lifted up without a cause, nor puffed up with uncertain hope, lifting up thy hand against the servants of the Most High. For thou hast not yet escaped judgment of the Almighty power, who seeth all things. For our brother, who now have suffered a short pain, are dead under the Most High covenant of everlasting life. But thou, through the judgment of the Most High, shall receive just punishment for thy pride. But I, as my brother, offer up my body and life for the laws of our fathers, beseeching the Most High that he would speedily be merciful unto our nation, and that thy by torments and plagues may have confessed that he alone is the Most High, and that in me and my brethren the wrath of the Almighty, which is justly brought upon our nation, may cease. Then the king, being in a rage, handed him worse than all the rest, and took it grievously that he was marked. So this man died undefiled and put his whole trust in the Most High. Last of all, after the sons, the mother died. Let this be enough now to have spoken concerning the adulterous feast and the extreme tortures.
wow. So that's some power. So these brothers were in a lot of ways crucified. The Messiah, as we know, was crucified. He did it for us, the world, the entire world. But he was obedient to the Most High and what had to be done. And it may become again a time that we have to go through this. So this is a good example of two things. Again, the governments, the kings, or however you want to put the people of higher power, we have to discern what their laws are and what our laws are. Like me and Lily were just discussing, surrender under Caesar. But then again, this is a test of faith. This is our test of strength. If we have to go through this situation, and this is a good example of that. A mother and her 7 sons. So let's go back to Romans and just finish it up. Going to verse 8.
Owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law.
All right, so that Brother Terry and Brother Aubrey was throughout Romans. Again, we owe no man anything but to love him. And again, that's fulfillment of the law. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Brother Terry, you want to bring anything out of that, brother? Anyone want to bring that out? Anything out on that? Might have left some meat on that one.
We good.
All right, go ahead.
For this, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
So
love.
we do. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, if we do these things, then, you know, being a younger man, I have broken every one of these. But if I would have known and it was taught, it was highly unlikely I would have. And so again, it goes back to love that neighbor as thyself. You know, you don't want to hurt no one, because you don't. you don't want this imposed on you. You have a husband or wife, that's your husband or wife, and you don't want them doing anything outside of that. You know, you don't want to covet. You don't want to try to, you know, to the point where you want something of someone else, to the point where you, just like unfortunately David done to Azariah, put him out there in the front line because he coveted his wife, you know, and he had to pay for that. So is if we follow these two laws, we should be in good graces with the Most High, as Paul stated in his letter. But go ahead, brother.
Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believe.
John. So again, everything that's around us, the things that of this world is showing us the time is not, you know, and we can't debate that. The scriptures telling us, we're seeing it for ourselves, we're living in it in a lot of ways. And so we have to revert back to these two great laws that the Most High will want us to abide. But go ahead.
The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness and let us put on the armor of light.
All right, so we know what the darkness is, and we know what the light. We know the Messiah is the light. We know the darkness is this world and who runs this world, the prince of this world. And we have to be aware of his devices. There's nothing new under the sun. If it don't feel right, don't do it. Again, your brothers, your sisters, you treat them as the same way that you want to be treated. And the Gentiles as well, you know, we can't leave them out. And that's not necessarily white people, that's any other nations. And so we got to be mindful of that. But go ahead.
Let us walk honestly, as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envy, but put ye on Yahushua Hamashiach.
All right, so go, I'm sorry.
And make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof.
All right, so the sexual verse 13 again is basically telling us, you know, don't fall for this drunkenness. Don't do all these promiscuous things that's gonna cause us to sin. And we need to stay away from these things. We already know that. We know that knowing and doing is two different things. We got to be doers of the word, as we always hear Brother Aubrey say, listen and be doers of the word. Stay away from these things that, again, this adversary continues to try to throw in our face through TV, through work relations, or whatever the case may be. But we got to put on that armor. We got to put on Christ. That's why we're here, to learn, to follow the instructions, because he is the ultimate leader. And we can't take that for granted. We hear a lot of things again over and over and over, and that's good, because the repetitive things that we hear, we will start following. And so this body, we as one, like-mindedness, following Christ, and we have to make sure that we put it on so we don't have to be a slave to that flesh. You know, again, we have any issues or problems, we call each other up, pray for each other, whatever the case may be. But we, again, being one body, following these two great commandments, you know, we should be in good graces with the Most High. So like I said, that basically ends it. At the end of the day, like I stated to you, we just got to understand that, yeah, there's governments, but we got to make sure that we discern if it's going against our maker. If it's going against his laws, if it's not the two great commandments, if it's going against those two great commandments, then we should not indulge in it. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Brother Terry. For the ones that are still awake, I appreciate you. The ones that are not, I still appreciate you. And may the Most High continue to bless.
All praises.
All praises. Was there any questions before I cut the recording?
Any questions, go to Brother Terry.
Any question? Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording.